What's happening, fam? Welcome to another practice. For today's class, I have 2 blocks, but you don't need anything. You could do this just with yourself and a mat. And honestly, you could probably do this with just yourself, even without a mat, but I still recommend having a yoga mat. So we'll go ahead and get started right away, standing up. All right, so as we stand up, just work into the shoulders real quick. Extend the arms. Both palms are flipped up, and then take one hand and flip it all the way around the other way. And then just like we're wringing out a towel, we will sort of wring out our shoulders, for lack of better words. Right, so what I like to do is close the eyes, start to find the breath, go through a few rounds of this. Just as a feel-good way to let the shoulder joint rotate. All right, so let's just do this for another maybe 10 or 15 seconds, nice and easy, to get the juices flowing a little bit. All right, from here, reach the hands up to the sky, then lean over to the left for a side body stretch, reaching the right arm up and over. Right. Take a deep breath in, deep breath out. Switch sides, come through center, lean to the right, meaning the left hand reaches up and over, while the right arm can relax. Take a deep breath in, deep breath out. Come back through center, reach both hands to the sky, inhale. Cactus the arms open, exhale. Pull the elbows back and down, lift through the heart, and then bring the hands back to heart center. All right, pause here, let the eyelids close. Take a deep breath in, deep breath out. Deep breath in, deep breath out. One more deep breath in, deep breath out. We'll be doing a lot of balancing today, so let's go ahead and start that out with a tree pose. All right, stand on the right foot, allow the left foot to come into the inner right thigh. All right, be nice and strong through the right leg, really engaging. I like to try to make sure my quad is engaged on the standing leg, feel the kneecap lifting up a little bit, and then feel free to lift the hands up to the sky. This is also where I'm going to find a bind, Kali Mudra, interlacing the fingertips except for the thumb and first finger. And this is just a good way to open up the shoulders as well as to feel a vertical line of energy extending all the way up the right leg, continuing up the spine, and then extending through the fingertips. All right, so stay in your breath. If you fall out, it's totally okay. Just get right back into it. Right? Falling is kind of the guarantee when it comes to balance. Right? You might be really good at balance, but eventually you'll fall, and that's okay. So this practice teaches us to be unattached. Right? Well, whenever you're ready, feel free to come out of the tree pose, whether it's graceful or ungraceful like me. All right, shake things out a little bit and take some twists to the left and right. Just kind of loosen things up a little bit. Then we'll go tree pose, other side. Stand on your left foot. Right foot comes to the inner left leg. And it could be the thigh. It could be down closer to the ankle. It's really your choice for tree pose. But again, we just want to be really strong in the standing left leg. Try to engage through the quad muscle. And try to really allow this to, as usual, be a full body activity. Legs and arms. And we'll integrate the arms by reaching them overhead. Option to find your Kali Mudra, interlacing the fingers, opening up the shoulders as we extend up to the sky. And then breathe. Right? As beautiful as your posture may be, it's not truly stable unless we're breathing. Right? If the posture looks good, but we're holding our breath and we're stressed out, then really the magic of yoga isn't really happening. The magic of yoga, I find at least, happens when we find a strong position and then we find calmness and ease within the strong position. It doesn't always happen, but it's a good goal to have, or at least a goal that I like to have in my practice. All right, so just a couple more breaths here. And then feel free to release when you're ready. And unlike the last time, I actually had a relatively graceful exit that time, which felt good. All right, let's go ahead and come into downward facing dog. All right, so this is where we'll go ahead and start to create some flow and implement some postures that will help open the hips up. So let's reach the right foot to the sky, three-legged dog. Bend the right knee, open at the hip. Then close things off. Take a big step to the outside of your right hand. All right, coming into this long lunge. From here, we'll take Skandasana lunge back of the mat. So drop the back heel down and shift back into Skandasana lunge as we work into the hips. You might find that your ankle pops up. You might find that you have to keep the hips a little bit elevated. That's okay, right? Find the variation that works for you. And then from here, ride the wave forward into a twist. Left hand plants down at the top of the mat. Right hand swings up to the sky. Take an inhale. Warrior two. So a warrior two will drop the back heel down, and then we'll circle the arms up, right? So kind of interesting transitions as we shift the weight forward and back here. Right? From here, we're heading to half moon, top of the mat. Right? I know, again, we're getting right into it. Take things slowly and just see how things are working. So maybe right hand connects to a block, if you have one, right? Or maybe the right hand connects to the floor or even floats. We're trying to keep this open hip position as we take it into our balance. Stay in the breath here. And then step back into a wide-legged forward fold. So as we step the left foot to the back of the mat, I like to open up into star pose, meaning just a giant X with the body, take up a lot of space. And then from here, hinge into the wide-legged forward fold. All right, sway side to side a couple times. Find a little bit of ease in the body. Then find a halfway lift. So inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Rise all the way up to standing. And then find goddess pose. So find the heels a little bit more rotated in. Toes rotate out to the sides. Open the arms into a cactus position. All right, and I'll cue 3 breaths for us here, and then we'll go ahead and get out. All right, I like to kind of sway side to side here because that simply feels good to me. All right. So when you're ready, take a deep breath in. Deep breath out. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Last one, deep breath in. Deep breath out. Wide-legged fold, straighten the legs, hinge at the hips, release down. All right, relax for a quick moment. From here, shift to the top of your mat, and then step back, downward facing dog. From down dog, left leg to the sky, 3-legged dog. Bend the left knee, open the hip. Then close off the hip, step to the top of the mat. In fact, left foot to the outside of the left hand. All right, so we're in this wide runner's lunge into Skandasana lunge, drop the back heel down, sway to the back of the mat. All right, just exploring whatever space you have in the hips, and if you're still warming up, that's okay, right? Give yourself time. You don't have to go to your deepest position on the first round. All right, from here, take the weight forward into our twist. So right hand plants, top of the mat. Left hand swings up to the sky. Opening across the wingspan, across the collarbones. Inhale. Exhale, release into warrior two. So drop the right heel down and then open up. You might have to adjust the kind of stance of the feet. Generally speaking, I like when the front heel is kind of in the same line as the arch of the back foot, but it might be different for you. Find your breath. And we'll take it into balancing half moon. So shift forward, maybe left hand to a block or the floor, or maybe left hand floats as the right leg lifts, half moon. Right, take an inhale. Exhale, we'll slowly drop it back, star pose, into our wide-legged forward fold, release down. All right, then halfway lift, inhale. Exhale, fold. Rise up to stand. Into our goddess pose. Bend into the knees, cactus the arms open. All right, same thing, we have a couple breaths here. I know this is a challenging posture, but it's also a really great posture because we get to strengthen the legs while we find open external hip rotation. All right, so it's a hip opener and a hip strengthener. Really a strengthener for pretty much every muscle in the lower body, if I say so myself. At least that's what it feels like. All right, and even the arms are engaged through an active cactus. All right, so take a breath in, breath out. Just one more breath. Inhale, exhale. Wide-legged fold. Release down as you straighten the legs. All right. From here, shift to the top of the mat. Place the palms down, downward facing dog, step back. This time from down dog, ripple into a plank pose, bringing the shoulders up above the wrists. Chaturanga, bend the elbows toward 90 degrees like the bottom of a push-up. Upward facing dog on the inhale. Downward facing dog, exhale. All right, so let's move through this flow a little bit faster. All right, so when you're ready, right foot to the sky, three-legged dog. Step the right foot outside of the right hand. Skandasana lunge, back of the mat, work into the hips. Come forward, top of the mat, twist, left hand down, right hand to the sky. Release the twist, warrior two, open up. Adjust the feet as needed. All right, this time let's add in a reverse warrior, shift up and back. Come forward into your balancing half moon posture. Right hand down, left hand to the sky. All right, take an inhale. Exhale, drop back, star pose. Inhale here, find length. Exhale, hinge into the fold. Halfway lift, inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise up to stand, hands lift. Goddess pose, sink down into the hips, cactus the arms. This time, inhale, straighten arms and legs, and then exhale, wide-legged forward fold. Turn to face the front of the mat, crawl forward, and then step back to down dog. From down dog, stay here if you want a little moment to pause, or roll into plank pose and move through your vinyasa from there. All right, chaturanga into your upward facing dog, into your downward facing dog. All right, nice job, y'all. Left foot to the sky, three-legged dog. Left foot steps outside of left hand. Skandasana lunge, swing the weight to the back of the mat, and then come to the front of the mat, twist, right hand down, left hand to the sky. Inhale. Exhale, untwist. Warrior two, rise up. Adjust the feet as needed. Reverse warrior. Left hand reaches up and back. Come forward into half moon pose. Left hand to the floor. All right. Again, it's always okay to wobble around a little bit. That's not the goal, but it's always okay. Take an inhale. Exhale, release back. Star pose. Inhale, extend. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, hands to the sky. Goddess pose, bend arms, bend legs. Inhale, back up. Exhale, fold. Top of the mat, walk the hands forward. Downward facing dog, step back. Pause here for a moment or roll into plank pose. Move through your vinyasa from there. Take your time, finding connection along the way. All right, one more round. Right foot to the sky, three-legged dog. Right foot steps outside of right hand. Skandasana lunge, swing to the back of the mat. And then come to the front of the mat, twist right hand to the sky. Inhale. Exhale, untwist. Warrior two, drop the left heel down, open up the arms. Inhale, reverse warrior. Exhale, shift forward into half moon. I'm gonna try to float my right hand this time to give myself a little more of a balance challenge. Breathing here for another 5, 4, nice job, y'all. 3, 2, on 1, we drop back, star pose. Take your time. Inhale when you get here. Turn to the left and then fold forward. Wide-legged, forward fold. Halfway lift, inhale. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, hands to the sky. Goddess pose, bend arms, bend legs as the toes pivot out. All right, inhale, back up to standing. Exhale, forward fold. Crawl to the front of the mat, place the palms, downward facing dog. All right, from here, stay, take a break if you want, or option B, ripple into plank pose, and then move through your vinyasa from there. Chaturanga, upward facing dog, downward facing dog. All right, left foot to the sky, three-legged dog. Left foot outside of left hand. Skandasana lunge, back of the mat, swing the weight back. Come forward, top of the mat, twist, right hand down, left hand elevates. Inhale. Exhale, untwist. Warrior two, elevate, rise up. Reverse warrior, shift up and back. Come forward, half moon pose. Again, this time I'm going to try floating the left hand. It's not easy for me, but a little bit more warm now than the first couple rounds, so why not give it a try? All right. We'll be here for another 4, another 3, last 2. On 1, drop it back. Star pose. Inhale here. Exhale, forward fold. I'm definitely getting out of breath, but that's okay. Halfway lift, inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale, stand up, hands up, goddess pose, right? And I share that I'm out of breath just to let y'all know that this stuff is challenging for me too. And I'm okay with that. I think there's value in being somewhere that's familiar, but still a little bit challenging, still a little bit out of the comfort zone. But I know we've been in this goddess pose for a little bit now. So let's straighten the legs, wide-legged, forward fold, release down. Crawl to the top of the mat, place the hands down, downward facing dog, step back. From down dog, option 1 is to pause here. Option 2 is to find plank pose, shift forward. And then find your chaturanga, bend the elbows. Upward facing dog as you pull the heart through. Downward facing dog as we return to where we started. All right, from downward facing dog, walk the feet wide off the sides of your mat. Then crawl backwards into a malasana squat. Sink the hips down and breathe here. Right? You can always feel free to use a block underneath the hips to support your squat. All right? Option 1, stay here. This is also opportunity for bakasana, crow pose, an arm balance by placing the hands down. I like to bring my feet closer together and then try to lift knees onto the triceps. Then shifting forward, and maybe there's an arm balance there. All right. And even if you just want to play with crow pose, you could just lift one foot, or you could even just lift knees onto triceps without even floating the feet, just to see what it would be like to take the first steps. All right, regardless, whenever you're ready, if you are in crow pose, let's all meet in malasana squat once again. All right, from here, take a breath in. On the exhale, forward fold. Straighten the legs, relax out. All right, bring the feet a little closer together, and then roll up to standing. Reach the hands to the sky, inhale. Hands to heart center, exhale. All right, this is where we'll take a few breaths, and then we'll try out dancer's pose, okay? So now is where we kind of are able to try out some more balancing postures and balancing transitions, and kind of stripping away the flow aspects so that we can really focus on the postures at hand. All right, so for dancer's pose, we'll start out standing on the right foot. You can start by bringing the left foot to the inner edge of the left foot, or I say left hand to the inner edge of the left foot. All right, some folks like to grab the outside edge of the foot, which is fine, but I prefer to grab the inside edge of the foot because that promotes opening in the shoulder, external shoulder rotation versus internal shoulder rotation. And generally speaking, in the yoga practice, we're trying to find external shoulder rotation because that helps to open things up. But both options are there for you, right? All right. So when you're ready, expand into dancer's pose. We can find dancer's pose from the quad stretch, but just by pressing left foot into left hand and then expanding away from the ground from there. We're breathing here. This is another full body position. And then see how gently you can release. Trying not to fling out of it, trying to very gently, mindfully release out of it. All right, take 1 or 2 breaths in between sides. And then we'll switch. All right, so this time stand on the left foot, right foot into right hand. Again, I prefer grabbing the inside edge of the foot, but if you really need to grab the outside of the foot, if that's just what your body likes, by all means, that is totally cool. All right, left hand to the sky, and then feel free to expand into your dancer's position. And then once we get here, the focus becomes the breath. It's so easy to be holding on for dear life and to forget to breathe. So this is where we really prioritize the breath. And see how gently you can release out of the posture without flinging, gently placing the right foot down, shaking things out a little bit. All right, So next up, we're just combining the two balancing poses that we've been working on the most today. So we're gonna go balancing half moon into dancer's pose. Right? We're gonna do this twice on both sides, so you'll have a couple opportunities. And we have options along the way. Right? So we'll go ahead and start. I'm gonna open up and face this way. And I'm also gonna set up a block for myself. I may or may not use it, but I just like to have a block there because in half moon, a block could be helpful. So when you're ready, we'll open up and we'll just head right into balancing half moon. So I like to start from this kind of ready position. The hips are open, but it's a pretty mellow place to be. And then once I'm ready, I could just shift forward into the balance. All right, from here, the next pose is dancer's pose, but we're in no rush. All right, so what I'm actually going to try to do is find a bind of left foot into left hand from half moon and then elevate into dancer. But you can always just go half moon into dancer and find the bind later. All right, so now we're in dancer's pose, finding the breath. And then we'll see how gently we can release out of the posture. All right, allow the left foot to come down. Give yourself a little shake, kind of relax the body for a second. And then we'll switch sides. All right, so now we're standing on the left foot this time. All right, again, this is just attempt 1 of 2. And if you're not really trying to go for the bind, or if you're not really able to, again, you could just go half moon, then stand up, and then dancer's pose. But the other option is half moon, bind in half moon into your dancer's pose. And this is with or without a block, right? So when you're ready, let's head to half moon on the left foot. All right, so right foot floats behind you. And we're in the open balance. All right, then we can already go ahead and start thinking about dancers. This is where I'm going to find my bind in half moon and then rise up into more of a classic dancer's pose. And then we breathe just for maybe 2 breaths. And then we can softly release out, bringing both feet onto the ground. All right, shake things out for a second. All right, that's a very interesting one. Challenging transition, but I believe in us, right? I believe in us because it doesn't have to be perfect. And the great news about yoga is there's no winning or losing, right? As long as we show up on the mat, as long as we're finding our breath and trying to find connection with our bodies and our minds, the yoga is a success, right? At the end of the day, it doesn't actually matter if we stay in the balance the whole time, right? All right, so when you're ready, we're trying that one more time on each side. So open the hips, prepare for balancing half moon on the right foot. When you're ready, go ahead and enter the position. From half moon, maybe there's a bind of foot into hand, maybe not. Either way, when you're ready, stand up into dancer's pose. Find the breath. Just 2 to 3 breaths. When you're ready to release, very gently, again without flinging, feel free to come out of it. All right, nice job. Switch sides when you're ready. This is the last one. All right, we made it. So when you're ready, from standing, come forward. Half moon on the left foot is our standing foot. Open on up. Up. A little wobbles on my side. All right, maybe the bind is there for you. Foot into hand. Dancer's pose. When you're ready, elevate on up. Find some expansion. Find 2 to 3 breaths. You've got this. And then feel free to release when you're ready, nice and softly. All right, shake things out. Maybe take the body through some just gentle twists back and forth. This right here is one of my favorite things to do when my body's just feeling a little tight and I just want to loosen things up, these easy twists back and forth. All right, so from here, we'll go ahead and sit down onto our bums. As we sit down, we'll find our wide-legged seated forward fold. All right, so we did this shape standing up a few times. This is where we get to do it sitting down because it eliminates the need to be balanced and it eliminates some of the need to be active. So this is a little bit more of a passive feel-good stretch. All right? So you could either just fold between the legs. What I like to do in my practice is rotate the body around. And this is simply because it feels better in my body to find dynamic movement in stretches like this to help keep things loose instead of just folding in one spot and staying there. Although for some people, the opposite is true. And that's kind of the beautiful thing about this practice, and the beautiful thing about practicing online on YouTube is that we all can express our practice in different ways. You can always allow your practice to look like whatever you want it to look like, and it's always okay. Being different is never something to apologize for. It's something to celebrate. I really believe there's no right or wrong way to do anything in yoga, because ultimately at the end of the day, yoga is about creating calmness and peace in the mind. And these physical poses, these physical movements are just one way that bridge us toward being able to do that. Right? First we calm the body, which allows us to calm the mind over time. All right, what I'm going to do here is invite in some side body stretches for our last few breaths in this forward fold. Lean over to one side and then take it over to the other side. I'm just going to give myself a few rotations back and forth for no other reason other than it feels good to stretch the side bodies. Hopefully you feel the same. We all have those areas of the body that just hold on to tension. And for me, one of many of those parts of my body is the side bodies. All right, my friends. So this is actually where I'm going to leave you today. I recommend, if you have the time, to do a couple other stretches that you like, or to go ahead and lay down and take your Shavasana position as you rest onto your back. Right? Or if you feel like you want more time in this wide-legged fold, take all the time that you need. Right? But I will leave the practice open for you if you want to continue on your movement journey, if you want to go exercise or work out, go for a walk, or take a Shavasana, or just go on to your next task, right? Honor your body and whatever you need. With that being said, thank you so much for joining me here today. I hope you have a blessed rest of your day. Keep it real, drink some water, hydrate, take care of yourselves, and I'll hope to see you sometime soon on or off the mat. All right, peace and much love, my friends.